Good afternoon. The next topic in the unit is well-formed formulas. So the notion of a statement formula is something we have to study. Now, what do you mean by a statement formula? So whenever we are studying about a statement is basically proposition. So proposition that we have studied in the earlier classes, which is a fact or a declarative statement, is also known by the term statement. Okay, so the term proposition is also known by statement, and the statement can either be true or false, and it is denoted by the letters P, Q, R, and so on. Now, what do you mean by a statement formula? When two or more statements are connected by the connective or or and or implication, then this is known as a statement formula. Okay, so basically a statement formula is an expression which is a string consisting of variables, parentheses, and connective symbols. Okay, so we have variables which is P, Q, R, and any other variable. Then we have a set of parentheses and also all the connective symbols along with negation. So negation and or implication and by implication. Okay, but in the case of a statement formula, whatever string you create, each of them is not a formula. Okay, if you are creating a string in this form P, Q, and then you are writing a connective, this cannot be known as a formula. So this is not a formula. Now we will study what is a well-formed formula. What we are studying is a recursive definition of a statement formula. So whenever you are recursively repeating the statement formula, then that is known as a well-formed formula or well-defined formula. So this can be well-defined or well-formed formula. Okay. Now let's see the rules for well-formed formula. So whenever we are studying about well-formed formula, there is a set of rules. Before that, let's just see the formal definition. In mathematical logic, propositional logic, and predicate logic, a well-formed formula is the abbreviation or the short form is WFF in capital or smalls. It is simply a formula which is a finite sequence of symbols. That is, it should be counted. It is a finite sequence of symbols from a given alphabet that is a part of the formal language. Okay, so if we are using lowercase alphabets, we are supposed to use lowercase alphabets in our well-formed formulas, or uppercase alphabets are also used in some textbooks. Now let's see the rules. So a well-formed formula can be generated by the following rules. So basically there are 4 rules. What are the rules? A statement variable standing alone is a well-formed formula. So P, simply P or Q or R, any of these variables simply by themselves is a well-formed formula. Okay. The next rule is, if A is a well-formed formula, then negation of A is also a well-formed formula. If P is a well-formed formula, then negation of P is also a well-formed formula. Okay. So if we are saying that Q is a well-formed formula, then if P is a well-formed formula, then negation of P is also a well-formed formula. There's a mistake over here that it is if P and Q are well-formed formulas, then P and Q, P or Q, P implies Q, and P by implication Q are also well-formed formulas. Okay, so any formulas with a connective and properly formed are well-formed formulas. The next statement is a string of symbols, a string of symbols containing the statement variables, connectives, and parentheses is a well-formed formula if and only if it can be obtained by finitely many applications of the rules 1, 2, and 3. So any string of symbols containing the variables, connectives. So first one, any variable alone, or we can use a connective, and by including the parenthesis, whatever rules we are using in the first, second, and third, if those are applicable and we repeat it again and again, then you can obtain a well-formed formula. Now we will see a few examples of well-formed formulas. So according to the definition that we have studied, the following are the well-formed formulas. Let's see the first example. So over here we have negation P and Q. So negation P and Q, we have a symbol, and along with that we have a connective, and we have two parentheses, and it is properly formed. That means that it has some meaning. That is, if we perform P and Q and then apply negation, we will get a truth table. So it is a well formed formula. Similarly, for negation P or Q, over here this is also a well formed formula. Then we have P implies P or Q. So first we can perform this part, and then we can perform implication on the entire thing. So since we are able to do this and the brackets are properly written, that is, we are opening two and closing two brackets, this is also a well-formed formula. Similarly, the other one, P implies Q implies R, I'll just write it over here clearly. So this is also a well-formed formula. And then we have the last one over here. Look at the brackets. We are opening three brackets, then closing one over here, opening another, closing two over here, and then at last finally closing this one. And the connectives are properly placed between two proposition or two statements. So this is also a well-formed formula. Now, what are the examples, or how will you know which one is not a well-formed formula? So in the case of a not a well-formed formula, so if you look over here, negation P and Q. So obviously, whatever variables we are using individually, they are well-formed formulas. But since we are missing the parenthesis, negation P or Q, either it should have been placed entirely or the parenthesis should have been after the negation. That is why this is not a well-formed formula. The next example, over here, the reason it is not a well-formed formula is because we are using a and Q, but we are supposed to use a connective with two propositions. Over here we just have only one proposition, so that is the reason it is not a well-formed formula. Next, in this case we are missing one parenthesis, hence this is not a well-formed formula. And what about this? For this, we are opening one, closing one, then there is another bracket being closed here. So it is missing a parenthesis at the beginning. So this is also not a well-formed formula. The next topic is duality law. So in this section, what we will consider is, we will consider formulas which contains connectives which are or, and negation. So in the case of duality law, we will only consider two connectives along with negation. And whenever we are performing duality law, there are two rules to be followed. Now, what are the rules? If we have two formulas or two well-formed formulas, first one is denoted by A. Okay, so if suppose A is, the formula A is P or Q. Okay, now how will be the duality of this formula denoted? This is P or Q. So it will be denoted by the symbol A superscript star. So A star. And what are we supposed to do? Two formulas A and A star are said to be duals of each other if either one can be obtained by replacing and by or and or by and, or we can read it this way: conjunction by disjunction and disjunction by conjunction. The connectives or and are also called as duals of each other. So disjunction, conjunction, these two connectives are known as duals of each other. And if the formula contains the special variables, that is either tautology or contradiction, then A star is obtained by replacing T or true by false and false by true. Okay, now let's see an example. We will take a few examples and see this. So over here, the question is, write the duals of write the duals of, so first one is P or Q, and then we will do another one, P or Q and R. Then the second one is P and Q or T, and the third one is negation P or Q and P or negation Q and negation S. Okay, now we are supposed to write the duals of this. So let's begin. So for the first one, what were the rules? The rule was we are supposed to replace, if we have or, we are supposed to replace it with and vice versa. So for the first one, we will write P and Q or R. This is the dual. The second one, P, since we have an and, replace it with or. Over here we have a or, replace it with and. True should be replaced by false, so replace it by false. The last one, negation will remain as it is. P or will be replaced by and by or. Once again or by and, negation Q. We have an and over here, so replace it with or and negation S. Okay, so these are the few examples. Next, so the same thing has been represented here. To create the dual of a logical expression, swap propositional constants T and F. So we are supposed to swap propositional constants T and F and the operators and an or. Okay, so P and negation P will give us P or negation P equivalent to true will give us P and negation P is equivalent to false. And whenever we are creating the dual of any law, it will always be a law. So mostly all the laws which we have, they always come in pairs. So if you remember, we always idempotent law, identity law, all the laws that we have already studied, always they came in pairs. Next, So we can give an example of this over here. So the same thing, if we are starting with, I'll just write it over here instead of saying the example. P or negation P is equivalent to true. Okay. So now for this, we are supposed to see, we are supposed to start with negating both the sides. So apply negation P, and negation P is equivalent to negation of T. So whenever we are applying negation, this means we are supposed to apply De Morgan's law. Okay. So negation P, or so negation P, when you apply negation to or, it will become and, then negation of negation P, and T will be replaced by F. Okay. Now this is double negation law. So this is negation P, and double negation law means negation of negation P is equivalent to P. So this means negation P and P is equivalent to F. Also, I'll explain De Morgan's law over here. So for De Morgan's law, if you remember, whenever you are applying negation P or Q, it will be equivalent to negation P and negation Q. This is what we did over here. We applied negation to P, and then or was changed to and this negation P was our Q. So when we apply negation to negation of P, then that is the reason we are using the double negation law. So negation P and P is equivalent to F. So if we just rearrange it, P and negation P is equivalent to F. Okay. So this is giving us our dual. Correct. So this is giving the dual of P, or negation P is equivalent to true. So if you try to remember, this is also a law. Both of them, the question that we took and the solution that we got, both of them are laws. Please recollect it. Both of them are basically our negation laws. And these are pairs of each other. So basically they are duals of each other. The next topic that we have is normal forms. So normal forms are basically standard forms. They are also known as canonical forms or acceptable forms. In the case of normal forms, suppose if we have a formula P1, P2, Pn and up to Pn, and if we consider all possible assignments of the truth values, then we obtain a formula. The formula may have the truth value T, or it may also have the truth value false. Now in this case, whenever we have a problem of determining whether a formula is a tautology or a contradiction, or at least satisfiable, this is known as a decision problem. So this problem is known as a decision problem. The reason this is known as a decision problem is because we want to check whether the entire formula is forming a tautology or contradiction. Now, whenever we are mentioning normal forms, there are two types of normal forms. The two types of normal forms are conjunctive normal form and disjunctive normal form. So a logical expression is said to be disjunctive normal form when it is written as a disjunction in which all terms are conjunctions of literals. Okay, we will get to study this in detail, but for now, disjunctive normal form is if it is written as a disjunction, and the same way conjunctive normal form is if it is written as a conjunction. Both of them are written in short forms as DNF and CNF. So now let's move to studying each of them in detail. Also, one more thing, disjunctive normal form is also known as sum of products, and conjunctive normal form is also known as product of sums. We will get to know why each of them is known in this way. So here, for this case, in this case, it is better if we understand that conjunction and disjunction to be referred by, conjunction is referred as product. So instead of conjunction, we will refer now it as product, and disjunction, instead of disjunction, we will call it as sum. Okay. And a product of the variables, that is a conjunction of the variables and their negations in a formula, is called elementary product. Elementary product. So there are two definitions. First is elementary product. The other is elementary sum. What is elementary product? Elementary product is a product of the variables, a product of the variables and their negations in a formula. Okay, so a product means we are using the symbol and. Over here, this will be the opposite. So the elementary sum will be a sum of the variables and their negations in a formula. So over here we are using sum, so we are using the symbol or. So let me just mention it over here. Conjunction with which is and, instead of that we are using the term product. Disjunction, which is or, instead of that we are using the term sum. Okay, so this is very, very important to remember which is product and which is sum. Now we are supposed to give the disjunctive normal form. What is disjunctive normal form? A formula which is equivalent to a given formula and which consists of, for disjunctive normal form, it is a formula which is sum of, a formula which is a, which consists of a sum of elementary products. A sum of elementary products. Okay, this is known as a disjunctive normal form. So over here, how are we supposed to get a disjunctive normal form? So the procedure is that whenever you are given connectives, implication and by implication, then in that case you are supposed to reuse this in such a way that instead of implication and by implication you should be using or an and. So that is, you are supposed to use equivalence formula using conditional and biconditional. So basically in the case of disjunctive normal form and conjunctive normal form, we will only be dealing with the symbols and, or, and negation. Okay, so both of these are to be replaced by and, or, and negation. And the statement would be true if any of the other connective is undefined. So if the negation is applied to a formula, then we will apply in such a way that if you have a statement in the case by using and, so you are supposed to apply De Morgan's law. So let's see an example. So the question is, give the disjunctive normal form of P and P implies Q. Okay, now let's define what is disjunctive normal form. So we studied that disjunctive normal form is a sum of elementary products. Sum of elementary products. So if it is a sum of elementary products, let's see what does it mean. So this can be written as P and P implies Q. So we have the symbol P. So we have the propositional formula P implies Q. This can be replaced by P implies Q is equivalent to negation P or Q. So this was the formula of logical equivalence involving conditional statements. This we have already studied when we were studying propositional equivalences. So instead of P implies Q, since we are not supposed to have implication and by implication in our normal forms, replace this implication by using this formula. So let's write it over here. So this will be equivalent to P and negation P or Q. Okay, now we can use the distributive law. What is distributive law? So instead of defining distributive law in terms of P, Q, R, I'll define distributive law in terms of X, Y, Z. So X and Y or Z is equivalent to X and Y or X and Z. So now, if you notice distributive law, here we have elementary products, correct? Basically, we are using the symbol and so these are elementary products. What did we say? An elementary product was a product of the variable. So these are elementary product, and we are joining them with the symbol or, which is the sum. So distributive law is basically your sum of elementary product, the right hand side of your distributive law. So let's write the same over here. So this will be our X, this is Y, and this is Z. So let's write it in the same way. First we are supposed to write X and Y. So P and negation P or P and Q. Okay, now if you notice, both of these are elementary product, and this is our sum, or we are using it instead of disjunction or. So we have got sum of elementary product. We have converted the statement into disjunctive normal form. Similarly, let's move on to conjunctive normal form. So this is the explanation. Conjunctive normal form, or it is known by the term product of sums. So conjunctive normal form, a formula which is equivalent to a given formula in which consists of product of elementary sum. So by the earlier description of DNF, you can now understand that in the case of CNF, elementary sums, so in the brackets, the variables are supposed to be using elementary sums. So that is, we are using the symbol or inside, and those should be joined by using the symbol and, which is product. Okay, so the method for obtaining a conjunctive normal form is similar to disjunctive normal form, and again we will look at an example. So let's see the example. So over here, we are supposed to give the CNF of P and P implies Q. Okay. So for this, the same P implies Q, we can take it as P implies Q is equivalent to negation P or Q. So let's write it over here, P and negation P or Q. Now look over here, we got an elementary sum in the bracket. This is your elementary sum, and this is your symbol for product. So over here, this formula is a product of elementary sum. So this is a product of elementary sum. We'll continue with principal conjunctive normal form, that is PCNF, and principal disjunctive normal form. Thank you.